It's time for another edition of Matt's mispronunciations.
That's a double M.
Matt tries to say the phrase, in the last.
Last.
In the last.
Last.
Matt says the number 24.
Fort.
24.
Fort.
Matt says the word something.
Something.
Matt tries to say visited.
Visited.
Matt says exact opposite.
The
Exact opposite. Matt says Helena Bonham Carter. Helena Bonham Carter. Matt tries to say Dolores Umbridge. Dolores Umbridge. And that concludes this edition of Matt's mispronunciations.
That's still a double M.
Shut up.
Part of Double P Media, doublepmedia.com.
Double P podcast. Double P.
What I like to call
Double P.
what I like to call
Double P podcast.
Still your 8th favorite podcast out of 3 podcasts covering The Crown on Netflix. Welcome back to Podcast Lilibet. Just a quick podcast to wrap up all of the feedback that we got regarding all of the episodes that we did for the Double P. My name is Matt, and it's just me. I don't have Bubba or Holly here with me, but if you want to, you can follow them on Twitter. Bubba is at Fit and Trim, FITTENTRIM, and Holly is at Hunt Pants. It's weird. It's really not. It's just Hunt Pants, all one word. Also, remember, you can always find Double P Podcasts by looking on Twitter at the word double, the letters PHQ. That stands for Podcast Headquarters. You can also find them on Facebook, facebook.com/the word double, the letters PHQ. Or you can send emails to hello@doublepmedia.com. That's the word double, the letter P, media.com. You can also search for the word double, the letter P, media on YouTube to find videos of all of the podcasts that are done on the Double P. If you want to find me, I am at Lilibet Pod on Twitter. Also want to just take a minute to tell you there's lots of great stuff coming up for the Double P. I don't know how much we're going to do this fall, but there is stuff that we will be doing in the future. For one thing, of course, we will be back for season 5 of The Crown whenever it comes out in 2022. Bubba and Catfish are also talking about doing a podcast possibly on Y: The Last Man. That's a show on FX. It's based on a comic book series. You might want to look that up. Of course, Parsec Passion, one of the Hallmark podcasts of the Double P Podcast Network, will return, I think, covering both the Book of Boba Fett and the new season of The Mandalorian when they come out. And as I mentioned, there'll be lots of podcasts in 2022. Double P will, of course, be back covering HBO's House of the Dragon, the prequel series to Game of Thrones. Holly and I, of course, will be back for the final series of His Dark Materials, Series 3, which we assume will be out in 2022. There's some other things that I might be doing personally, but you can just ask me by tweeting me at LilibetPod on Twitter. With that, we just want you to stay excited for the Double P and to keep following, keep subscribing to the YouTube channel, subscribe and follow to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast. And we want to have you with us, always sending us feedback. Once again, at the word double, the letters PHQ on Twitter. I always put out polls, right? I always put out polls. And this is the polls from the final episode that we did covering seasons 4, episodes 6 through 10 of The Crown on Netflix. Just going to go through these real fast for you. Who needs more sugar in their tea? Holly and Bubba for the music game that Matt ambushed them with, or Matt for the fact that they didn't know anything? They actually did kind of know some things. But we had 800 votes on the 100 Twitter, if you get what I mean. And it was unanimous. It was 100%. I don't know if this has ever happened before. It probably has. But 800 votes, 100% said Holly and Bubba needed more sugar in their tea for the fact that I ambushed them for that video game. The next poll, who needs more sugar in their tea? Me, for enduring all of the bad historical chronology in the show and making things up. Or Holly and Bubba for having to endure hearing me complain about it. 600 votes on the 100 Twitter, if you know what I mean. And it's 83.3% sided with Holly and Bubba. I guess y'all are tired of hearing me complain about the history. Next poll would be, who needs more sugar in their tea? This one's actually story related. Camila, for realizing that she's the wrong fairy tale type, or Thatcher, whose own fairy tale came to a tragic end. Her coach turned back into a pumpkin. And this one was close. 1,000 votes on the 100 Twitter. And Camila actually got the nod with 60%. So it's almost like 6 out of 10 of you voted for Camila. But again, that's 1,000 votes on the 100 Twitter. As far as our what's worse go, over the course of season 4, who was worse, Thatcher or Charles? 700 votes on the 100 Twitter, and 71.4% of you came in for Thatcher being worse than Charles. Wow, that's kind of a shocker to me. And over the course of the entire series that we've seen so far, who is worse, Prince Philip or Prince Charles? This one was close, 900 votes on the 100 Twitter, and Prince Charles got the nod with 55.6%. So it's almost like 5 out of 9 of you voted for Prince Charles there. So again, 900 votes, that's not a very bad spread right there. One last poll here. Which season 4 germ spreader is worse? This is a question that I asked. Thatcher serving spilled eggs or Diana hugging the Queen for too long? 500 votes came in on this one, and 80% of you, it's almost like 4 out of 5 of you, voted for Diana's hugs being the worst germ spreader. So there you go. Those are our polls from the last podcast. A couple of other quick little things regarding feedback. We got some YouTube feedback from one of our favorite watchers there, Donut Buzzcut, who always has great insights into what's going on with the actual history of the crown. Here is what Donut Buzzcut said on our latest video that we released. One of the actresses who played Diana's grandmother, Lady Femoy, is in a movie back in 1993, was none other than Eileen Atkins, who played Queen Mary in the first season of The Crown. So Eileen Atkins played Lady Femoy in this movie in 1993, according to Donut Buzzcut. Also, in episode 6, the phone that Diana uses to call the Queen says Kensington 4734. Did Charles and Diana move into Tommy's old apartment? Excellent question. I picked up on that as well. I think the number is actually 3742, but I get a little dyslexic, so maybe I'm wrong there. And that is all of the feedback that we have. We want to continue to hear from you. If you're excited about news about season 5 or what have you, send it along to @LilibetPod on the Twitter, LILIBetPod on the Twitter, if you wish. And also be sure to tweet at the word double, the letters PHQ on Twitter. Again, you can find Holly at Hunt Pants. It's not weird. And you can find Bubba at Fit and Trim, FITTENTRIM. See ya.